All right, here we go. 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. Coming up on the Braves Sports Network here on this Monday night, a special Monday night edition of our basketball coaches shows. We play on Tuesday and Thursday. So here we are on a Monday night where we would normally be getting ready for a basketball game, but we're playing Tuesday and Thursday. SWAC tournament starts next Monday, and we'll talk all about it. Down the stretch we come, a couple of games left in the regular season. The Lady Braves control the 2 seed. Alabama A&M won the regular season the other night, and the Lady Braves with a win will be the 2 seed, and we'll get that second and final double bye. We'll talk all about it with assistant coach Lisa Powell as head coach Nate Kilbert not on the program. It's recruiting time. We'll talk a little bit about that with head coach, with assistant coach Lisa Powell. We'll take your questions and comments. We'll get it all started after this timeout here on the Braves Sports Network.
The 2026 Pepsi SWAC Men's and Women's Basketball Tournament, presented by Buick, return to the city of Atlanta on Monday, March 9th through Saturday, March 14th, as all 12 teams on both sides look to bring home championship titles. This year's tournament is scheduled to be held at the Gateway Center Arena, with all men's and women's tournament games set to be broadcast live on ESPN Digital Networks. For more information, visit SWAC.org.
All right, welcome back. We are live here on the beautiful campus of Alcorn State University. Back-to-back special Monday night edition of the Coaches Shows. Jake Morton will join us here shortly in the next half hour. The men are practicing right now, and they got to get back on track. We could fall in the bottom 4 if we're not careful. There's a pathway out of that. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But for the Lady Braves, it's short, sweet, and simple. A win tomorrow night against Mississippi Valley or a Southern loss tomorrow night, and the Lady Braves will wrap up that number 2 seed. A&M won the regular season the other night with a victory over Alabama State, so they're the 1 seed. The Lady Braves can lock up the 2 seed with a win tomorrow or a Southern University loss. So we'll talk all about that. As assistant coach Lisa Powell joins us, she's done a great job pinch hitting for Nate Kilbert in the past, and it's recruiting time, so coaches are on the road, and Lisa Powell and her crew stay back and make sure the team is ready for a big game on tomorrow as they take on Mississippi Valley. Coach Powell, how you doing?
Doing well, Charles. How are you?
I am fine, and this is the grind of the season. Nate Kilbert was talking about his team being a little tired. It's been a lot of basketball. We've had 4 games in 7 days, and we're going to have 4 games in 7 days again. By the time Thursday rolls around, end of the regular season, we would have played 4 games in 7 days. How are you doing, and how you think the team is handling things with all the basketball that we've played here lately?
Well, Charles, I'm doing well. I think they're doing pretty well. It's good check time. This is a time that you practice for, you play for, you look forward to. We put ourselves in a great position to do well in the SWAC tournament. So, hey, you just got to be self-motivated. You got to come in there ready to roll every day. And just think about one game at a time. So there's no downtime. They knew what they were getting into when we first started. That was our goal. Our goal was, hey, we want to do better than what we did last year. And I think they've done a great job of doing that.
How were you able to do it back in the day when you played, and the Pillars and the other players, the great players that you played with? You knew about the grind, and it really didn't change all that much back when you played. How are you able to do that, back in your day? It's different now, but back when you played, as you think about it, how were you able to gut it out this time of year?
We always set a goal before the beginning of the season. We would stay focused. Hey, you got to stay focused, stay grinding. The main thing is being focused. You know what your goal is. You know what you're trying to accomplish, and you know what it's going to take. So we knew it was going to take to get our goal. And our goal was always to win that gold ball. And then no other factors outside of basketball. We didn't worry about those things. We worried about basketball in school, education. And I think, as time came along, we've got the kids to just focus on those 2 things. And they're doing a great job and, focus on that gold ball and education.
As they say, let the main thing be the main thing. We're talking with assistant coach Lisa Powell, pinch hitting for Nate Kilbert. We'll try to get into a little bit of recruiting because this is that time of year, state championship, the big house, all that. And of course, we've got some holes to fill. It's never too early to talk about recruiting. But let's talk about this Texas trip, Coach. It's never easy to win at Texas Southern at Prairie View, despite the records of those other teams. So let's start with that Texas Southern game, Coach. 68-54. Burnett Skeet's team, we got them in deep in the postseason last year, but they clearly have had their struggles. I think now they've lost 9 in a row. What is it that you saw in this team? We beat them the first go around, but then going to Houston is never easy. What was it that you were concerned about going into the second meeting with Texas Southern?
Well, I was really concerned about that loss, but you know what? They surprised me that we were able to refocus. They were able to refocus and grind, and we got those 2 Texas wins. Like you said, that is a big accomplishment. Being on the road. We got some good play for some big time players. And I'm always telling them, hey, those top 3. I'm not being biased about any player, but it's 3 players that we need to show up every game for us to be successful. And I think they're doing a great job. Whether it's defense or offense of getting the ball to where it's supposed to be, we're doing a good job. And we did a great job of that on the road this past week.
Well, as you look at some of the highlights, we built a 13-6 lead, and Arena Iyake Polor was outstanding. We'll talk about her in a moment. But the storyline coming into this game was Nakia Cheatham. Cheatham needed 6 points to get to 1,000 points. Just talk about her and getting an opportunity. Playing for 4 years, getting that 1,000-point total. She'll be recognized for that in the next couple of home games. But Nakia Cheatham was, the big story going in, needing 6 points, the 1,000-point career club. Not many players can do it. She just did it with that. And she did it on a 3, by the way, that got her over the hump. But just talk about that, an accomplishment. Her, Maya Clador, Kiera Henderson stayed at Alcorn for 4 years. Nate Kilbert reminded me of that the other day. 4 years they were with this program. They could have left. Right. They could have done something else. They could have been with someone else, but they stayed, and you don't see that anymore. Talk about Nakia Cheatham and her growth and development from your eyes.
Well, I think it's a great accomplishment for a great kid. Cheatham's always going to grind. She's always going to come in, put in up extra shots. She had a bad game. She's going to come in there and work on those things that she needs to work on. So I'm very proud of her. Like I said, great accomplishment, and Cheatham is going to accomplish more. When a kid stays humble, she's very humble, and she'll come and ask us, what do I need to work on? We tell her what she needs to work on, and she'll go in there and work on. And when you work hard, I always tell them, you work hard, you're going to get great results, and that's one of those things she's done.
We're going to be talking with her at the half of the game tomorrow. But when you look at her story, though, Coach, remember last year she left the team, and she reminded me it was almost a month that she was, not being on the team, with the team. She had to deal with some stuff. And so I was kind of worried about that. We were all worried about her at that time. But, man, when she came back with flying colors, bouncing back. Just talk about that time, Coach, as a player, because everybody has issues. Everybody has the mental stuff to deal with, the pressure of trying to win and do well. And I know she wants to do well for the university, for the program, for the fans, for her family. But her leaving the team and then coming back, it seemed like that re-energized her. A great second part of the year. And then this year's been outstanding. Talk about that journey for her, especially when she left the team.
Well, it was a great thing for her. Like you said, she got herself together, and it's a part of growth. Part of growth. She said she needs to step back, take care of some personal things, and we respected that. We told her to take all the time you need. She took the time that she needed, and she came back. She proved herself. That's life. That's life. We got. We're going to go through some issues, and sometimes you need to self-reflect. Sometimes you need to isolate yourself from those things, and that's what she did. And like I said, she did that, and she came back ready to roll. She had a meeting with the coaches, and she said, I'm ready, coaches. I'm ready to, prove to myself and the team, her teammates, that she was ready to get them where we need to be. And she did that.
And she even mentioned the fact that even though she wasn't with the team, she was in the gym at night after hours, early in the morning, just working on her game. so she never really left the game. I was concerned that sometimes you step away and sometimes you look at things differently, but she definitely stayed with it and is rewarded for it. So when you look at the Texas Southern game, Coach, 68-54, Arena Iyake Polor has really stepped up her game. 21 points off the bench. We talked about the fatigue factor. That second unit led by Arena brought the team to life. Talk about how she's been able to really come on.
You know what? She's that missing piece that we needed. Coming out the bench. Who's able to sustain the scoring that we need from that first group. So I think she's the missing piece that we need, missing piece of that puzzle. She's done a great job. She's handling the situation very well. I'm very proud of her. And she's a hard worker also. Renee is going to come in this gym. She's going to come in the gym when the other players are not there. She's going to work hard. And kids like that, they're going to be successful because they're hard workers.
Well, that's another situation, Coach. Not necessarily what Cheatham went through with the mental part of it, but Arena a couple of years ago had a serious injury and she was out. She was on the shelf for a while, and I was wondering, would she stay with it? Because these are tough situations. But
Right.
Rene got through it, and just her hard work got her to where she is. Just talk about it, the untold story about Rene in terms of how she's been able to stay with it and be that spark plug off the bench.
Yeah. Renee had a torn ACL, but she never spoke about it. She never used it as an excuse to not be better. Like I said, she came in here, she did a treatment, she stayed in the gym. She was there before practice and after practice, and she really worked on her game. And she's just a hard worker. And I always tell the kids that's the example that you need to follow. For success. That's a path. Get in here, work on your own game, be self motivated. And she did that, and you can see that it's paying off because, like I said, she's that missing piece of the puzzle that we need. We need that X factor, and I think she's becoming that X factor. She hit some big basket at Perryview also, so she's doing exactly what we need her to do for us to be successful going into the tournament.
Well, Coach, in this Texas Southern game, I mean, we led by as many as 20, and all of a sudden, Texas Southern made a push, got it to 6 in that fourth quarter. Um, you know, we're up by 12 here in the fourth quarter, and we extended that. But
Mhm.
Texas Southern made a push. Logwood, got them back in it. And you see Maya Claytor there. The only bucket she made was a big elbow jumper there. And then it was a 13-point lead. And just talk about,
Mhm.
trying to put Texas Southern away. They just kept sticking around.
But Charles, that's basketball. Teams are going to eventually have their runs. But the most important thing about us, we're going to have to sustain their push. We hit, even though Texas Southern making that run, we still hit some big baskets. We never let them get ahead. So that's just a part of basketball. As long as we're able to sustain that push, either defensively or offensively, we'll be okay.
Well, the Lady Braves won 68-54. Rena Iyake Polor with 21. Nakia Cheatham, the 1,000-point club. She needed 6. She doubled that, 12 points and 6 rebounds. Krishani Walker added 9 points. Jasharia Hunt with 7 points for the Lady Braves, 4 points for DeLasia Hurt Floyd. Kiera Henderson, coach, just 4 points for Kiera Henderson, 4 points and 5 rebounds. Guess that also shows you that, you talk about Claytor, you talk about Cheatham, you talk about Henderson. You need those 3, but the outstanding performance of Arena, not necessarily needing the monster games from either Cheatham or Maya Claytor.
But Charles, you got to remember that we got Kiera Henderson doing so many other things. She's helping bring the ball down the court. She's on the backside of that 1-3-1 zone. So she's running all over the place. So we got her doing a whole lot of other things. And she's contributing not on the offensive side, but she's contributing so many other ways. And like I said, Renee is that missing piece that we're going to need. We're going to have that bitch step up and give us some points. 4 points here, 6 points there. And we've been doing that all season. And it's been working on our behalf. And we're fine with Kiera. She's going to be all right. She come in the gym. She works on that. What she needs to work on, driving. How she needs to adjust her shot and finishing around the basket. So I'm not worried about Kiki now. If it was somebody else, hey, I might be a little worried. But I'm not worried about Kiki. She's going to fix that problem on the offensive side. But she's still giving us what we need for her to give us to win. So she's going to be fine.
Well, speaking of trying to get back right, Maya Claytor, one of the best 3-point shooters in the country early in the season. The 3-pointers was falling in the game against the Bethune Cookman, but then against Jackson State couldn't hit a three, hit a two against Texas Southern, got a couple against Prairie View. Are you concerned about her and getting back right from beyond the arc?
Of course, we're going to need her to hit some big baskets, but my thing is play inside out. And I just think if we finish those baskets around, shots around the basket, it's going to make it easier for Maya to knock down those shots that she needs to knock down. So hey, they got to help out each other. Teammates got to help out one another. And like I said, once we score around the basket, hit those little chippies, Maya's going to be all right.
Well, the second unit, coach, when and we talked about rest and just how tired and how weary the team is at time, that second group came in and did a really nice job, led by Arena, DeLasia Hurt Floyd, Lauren Nelson, Francis Onyakudo, Jada Bowen got some minutes. That second and that third unit came in and did a really nice job late in the first quarter and even into the second quarter when you built the big lead. So that's a good thing to see, as you're going to need the depth in the tournament.
Right. Yeah, it really is. It really is because, hey, like I said, we got so many kids. We got kids who are doing so many other things that they're going to need that breather. They can't play the whole game. So we just need, when we call your number, we just need for you to be ready. Come out there and do your job. Sustain the lead. Just help with something. Help with offense, defense. Make some stops. Get some rebounds. And we always tell them it's not always about scoring. It's other things that you could do to help the team. And I think that second unit is doing a great job of doing that.
It's all about the team. No one is bigger than the team. And so the Lady Braves are getting that from the first unit and then obviously the second unit. Big win over Texas Southern. Now we move to Prairie View, coach. And one of the things, that Prairie View trip is always a challenge. You're making the trip from Houston to Prairie View with traffic. A lot of teams don't come for shoot around. Some teams, and our men's team, former coach stayed in 2 hotels because he wanted to be close to Prairie View as well as Texas Southern. So you got to pack up and change things around with that. Your team decided not to practice at Prairie View just to kind of save some energy and some legs. You won the game 48-38, low scoring game, Lady Braves type of game. Do you feel like that not practicing on Friday helped the team in terms of being fresh for Saturday?
I think it did, Charles. I think it did. We weren't that good on the offensive side, but as long as we're making stops on the defensive side, we didn't score. Like we want to score, it was like 48, but we stopped them from scoring. They only scored 38. So whatever it takes to win, hey, I'm all for it. And I just think that we're doing a great job of doing what we need to do to win.
One of the storylines in that game, Krishani Walker went down with a knee injury. How does that change things? And her status is uncertain for the game on Tuesday. And so we'll have to follow that as we get closer to tip-off against Mississippi Valley. Of course, we need one win or Southern loss to secure the 2 seed. But when Krishani Walker is not in the lineup and she went down in that second quarter, what does that do? How does that change the rotation? How does that change things for the Lady Braves offensively and defensively when she's not on the floor?
It changes things that we don't have that post player, to move things around. But I look on the positive side. We can run. We could do that transition offense. You get what I'm saying? We can run now. And I think though, Lauren Nelson and Francis, I think they're doing a great job. They did a great job replacing her Saturday. Not saying we're not going to miss Chris because we are. She comes in, she get big rebounds for us. She's gotten better. I had a referee came and asked me, Coach, what y'all doing when I'm 25? She's improved a whole lot. So it's going to be an impact. But we're going to make adjustments. I think we'll make good adjustments and going to give her time to heal because, when it comes down to that knee, you can't rush your knee. I would suggest, letting her sit out these 2 games and just letting her be ready for that SWAC tournament. You get what I'm saying? Because we don't want everybody, we don't want Southern or anybody else taking care of our business. We need to take care of our own business. I don't want to depend on Southern losing or this and that. We need to come in here and take care of home court advantage and get the job done and take care of that second seed. So, but like
You
I
know, that
said, hmm?
one of the things that's been talked about all year, and even Nate Kilbert's talked about it. There's enough pieces here. Next person up, yes, you would love to have Krishani Walker. Yes, she is much improved. Yes, she's a big presence in the post. But there's enough here with this roster to still be able to get it done. So it's just a matter of making the adjustments. And you were able to do that, Coach. As Prairie View just never gave up. It was a 6-point game in the fourth quarter. As look at some of the highlights. I mean, it was 27-15 at one point at halftime. But Prairie View, despite being winless, what do you see in this Panther team? First-year head coach, University of Houston assistant coach prior to coming to Prairie View. What do you see in Prairie View? I mean, they're probably one of the scariest winless conference teams out there.
Right. I see a gritty little team. They're young, don't have much experience. I think every coach got a good future ahead of if they stay together. That's the big factor. Them staying together. If they stay together, I think Perry View will be something to reckon with in the next year or two.
As we look at some of the early highlights in this game, Coach, and a nice little look inside. Rene again, Francis Anyakudo, and then Maya Clador got it going from beyond the arc just when we.
Right.
I was kind of concerned about Maya Clador. Were you concerned about her? Because we know what she can do from beyond the arc. She was, I think, 0 for against Jackson, and then just a 2-pointer against Texas Southern. Are you concerned about Clador a little bit? Or do you feel like down the stretch here she'll get it going again?
And I'm not concerned about it at all because with Maya being on the floor and her not even scoring, she's going to get the attention to open up the lanes for Cheatham and Henderson. So I'm not really worried about it. She's going to eventually get it going. She's the type of kid that she's going to work on her shot, and she doesn't like to fail. So I never worry about Maya. She's doing a great job this year. Hit some big buckets. She hit a big one against Texas Southern. She hit a big one at Perry View. So I'm really not worried about it because, like I said, she's going to draw at least 1 or 2 people. And like that opens up our lane, and we just got to finish it. Charles, we just got to finish around the basket and hit those free throws. I think those are the 2 factors that doesn't keep us from blowing the team away. If we do those things, we want Maya out there, but she won't be a big factor. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, you talked about free throws. We're 8 of 15 from the free throw line against Prairie View. So to your point, definitely have to work on that. As the Lady Braves got a big win, 48-38. Kara Henderson bounced back with 14 and 5. Nakia Cheatham, 12 and 10. She was telling me, Coach, that she likes to rebound almost as much as she likes to score. What do you say about her rebounding ability? I mean, we know she can give you 19 and 13 some nights like she has recently, but she likes the boards, it seems like, more so than scoring.
She does. Now, she's one of the very few players that comes and, Coach, how many rebounds do I have? Most of them ask me about the points. But she's so athletic, she just doesn't know that how, good she is. And I like that in a way. I like kids to be humble. But sometimes I want them to have a little attitude, I can't be stopped. And I think if she just get a little bit of that, I think she will be awesome. She got that 1,000 points. Yeah. So she's a great athlete.
We talked about the bench, and obviously Krishani Walker gave us limited minutes. We talked about Arena. Delaysia Hurt Floyd, Coach, running the point, her as well as Jasharia Hunt. Would like to see, where are you with Hunt at this point? What do you see from her? I mean, she's a really good free throw shooter, one of the tops in conference. But in terms of her scoring, are you satisfied with where you are in terms of what she can give you scoring? We know she can get to the free throw line.
And she could get to the basket. She just got to finish from Charles. She missed a 2 big one at Perry, but I'm not worrying about Hunt either, not on the offensive side. I just need her to put pressure on those guards like Hunt or Hurt Floyd does. And that's the only thing I'm worried about. part of her game is her defense. I'm not even worried about her offense because I know she could. I know she could score. At will. So that's not an issue with us.
The other part of the bench, coach, Francis Anyakudo. You talk about Jada Bowen, Janae Anderson, and Jaslyn Johnson. Jaslyn was getting some minutes in non-conference, not as much
Mhm.
lately. Do you expect her now with Krishani Walker possibly not being available for one or maybe two games, the last two games of the season? You expect Jaslyn Johnson to step up and get more minutes?
I do. But the one thing I like about that freshman, you know what? She's fearless. She'll come out there and hit a big shot, and I don't think she realized what she's done. But she's fearless. She's going to shoot it. So yeah, I think she's going to. It doesn't bother her about the playing time. But when we call her number, she's ready. She's ready to hit that big bucket that we need.
Lady Braves with a big 48-38 victory over Prairie View, getting back on track after the loss to Jackson State. And again, with the games that took place, the Lady Braves, all they need is a victory over Mississippi Valley or a Southern loss, and they will lock up the 2 seed. Alabama A&M won the regular season after the opening loss to Valley. They haven't lost since, and they will play Southern as well as Grambling at home. But you definitely want to secure that number 2 seed, and the Lady Braves with a win or a Southern loss on Thursday, and the Lady Braves will have the 2 seed. Spots 3 through 11 are very much up for grabs. So the conference office has some work to do. Coach, from a recruiting standpoint, I know it's that time. Coaches are in and out, checking out games. We talked about Maya Clador, Henderson. We talked about Cheatham, 4-year players here. But, obviously the recruiting continues. What do you see in terms of the needs, for this Lady Braves team as we go forward, back-to-back SWAC championship game appearances? I don't think anyone expected us to be a 2 seed pushing for the 1 seed. I don't think anybody expected that this season, but we're poised to make a deep run. But going forward, what do you see the needs for this Lady Braves team?
Charles, we're gonna have to bring in some experience. We got some big shoes to fill. Those three, they make up at least 6% of our offense. So we got some big shoes to fill. We most definitely need a point guard who has a great IQ. Know when to set up, know when to run. We're gonna need an inside presence, getting rebounds. We got some big shoes to fill, and I think we're going to bring in some great kids. But our most important thing is making sure that they want to be at Alcorn. You remember you said that Cheatham and Kiki and Maya has been here 4 years. We want kids who
Mm-hmm.
want to be here, and know what they're here for, and have a love for Alcorn. Loyalty. And we want people with that mindset. A lot of times you got all that talent and they don't have the right mindset and don't want to be here. But we want kids who want to be here, and that knows what they're here for. And knows, one, education, and two, winning. So that's what we want. And so I think we're going to find we got our eyes on a couple of kids who want to be here. I got, talked to a couple of people and they want kids who are going to be here. But we need that experience. We got 3 high school kids, but we're gonna need some JUCOs, and we're gonna have to hit that transfer portal.
Yeah, that's going to be that's the transfer portal is always the thing people talk about. So we'll be following that as we go along. Well, let's follow what we got the next couple of games. Obviously, no Krishani Walker. We assume that she probably will not play tomorrow. And so you got
Mhm.
Mississippi Valley coming in. The first go round, it was 75-72. Valley gave us all we can handle. What do
Mhm.
you expect here from Mississippi Valley, a team that's kind of fighting to stay above the fray, trying to avoid dropping into the bottom 4 and having that playing game? What do you expect from Valley as well as Pine Bluff, a team that beat us after leading by 19 at Pine Bluff?
Well, I expect Valley, like they always do, coming here gritty, ready to take our home court advantage. And I also expect us to come in here and defend our home court. So to be honest with you, Charles, I'm really not worried because like I said, we talked to them about home court advantage, being focused, and of course, Valley's going to come here and try to get their lick back. They thought they had us at home, but we went on a run. We made some defensive stop. We could got played our zone defense, stopped number 5 from driving. Uh, so I think we're going to come in here and defend our home court. So I'm not too worried about that. Pine Bluff, we owe them one. We owe them one. I think the kids they got their mindset. We gave that game away. Had it right there in our hand. We gave that game away, so they got to take it back. They got to take it back from them. I think like I talked to those three, Kiki and Henderson and Maya and Hurt Floyd. I talked to them and they said they're ready because we're ready to defend our court. And, we right there at the finish line. We right there at the finish line. So you can't let anybody come into your home and stop you from finishing first, because we're preparing for that gold ball. That's what we've been talking about the whole season. And I think they got their eyes on the prize. I think I ain't gonna say I know we'll be all right.
Well, obviously, it's a big game tomorrow. The Lady Braves a victory, and they will lock up the 2 seed. They could take a deep breath there. But again, got to get it done on the court. Southern University is right on our heels. If we drop 2
Right,
and Southern wins 2 at Alabama State and A&M, they will be the 2 seed. And as Nate Kilbert has talked about, the tournament's kind of set up for those teams with double byes to have a huge advantage. Doesn't mean they're going to win the tournament, but it definitely helps in terms of rest as we're playing a bunch of games down the
right.
stretch. This
Yeah.
Lady Braves assistant coach Lisa Powell pinch hitting. Go ahead, coach. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I was saying I think that's something to play for. I would rather play
Yeah,
that Wednesday instead of that Monday. So
absolutely.
we always in their ear telling them about the situation. Where they could put themselves to be successful, and that you're going to have to sacrifice some things to get to where you want to be. And so, like I said, we stay in their ear, informing them on what's going on with the seeding and how the tournament is going to be played out. So they'll be well prepared for tomorrow's game.
And it's at 6:00. It's a double header. 6:00 tomorrow, 6:00 on Thursday, and then it's on to Atlanta. So double headers tomorrow and Thursday. Assistant coach Lisa Powell pinch hitting for Nate Kilbert. Wonderful job once again, coach. We appreciate it,
Thank you.
and we'll be talking to you tomorrow.
All right, thank you.
That's assistant coach Lisa Powell. We'll clear the decks here on the Braves Sports Network. Jake Morton standing by. Man, what do we need to do to get back on track? The Braves may be in that play-in game on Monday. Got to get it done and need a little bit of help. There's a pathway forward, but it's not under our control. We'll talk all about that with head coach Jake Morton after this timeout here on the Braves Sports Network.